Coach, we got Justin up first for you.
Morning, Coach. I appreciate a few minutes. As I'm sure you are more than well aware of, you locked up the entirety of your incoming 21 class. Just wondering your impressions of that group and just what kind of reinforcements you see in those four guys giving you when they do get to Boulder.
Yeah, really excited about this class. I think, you get a little bit of everything with this group of young men. And we got two, I think, really talented guards, Julian Hammond and Javon Ruffin. Both guys that can guard the ball, they can shoot the ball, they can pass the ball. They're multifaceted guys. And Javon is, 6'5". He's got good length for a guard and a perimeter player, can play and guard multiple positions. Julian's a little smaller, 6'2", but has great instincts defensively, can shoot the ball. And I think those guys can really play together. And it's ironic, as we recruited both of them, and talking to both of them and their families, Javon obviously is spent a little bit of time in Colorado. His dad, Mike Ruffin, was a great player at Cherry Creek, where Julian goes to school, had a great career at Tulsa in the NBA, but they actually played together as young players back in, I think it was 5th, 6th, maybe 7th grade. And then Javon's family moved on, obviously, and they've kind of lost touch. But so having those two guys in the backcourt makes you feel really, really good about the future. Quincy Allen, 6'7" wing, who's really, he's got major upside. And he's got great length, great athleticism, great skill. Another guy who can guard and play multiple positions. And we like those versatile big wings. Obviously, we're losing Maddox Daniels. We're losing Deshaun Schwartz. So, to bring in reinforcements like Quincy brings is big time. And then Lawson Lovering, legit 7-footer who runs the floor. He's got great skills, can face the basket and shoot threes, can score down low, good free throw shooter, good hands. Again, Lawson has major upside as well. And I think the feeling is all four of those guys really love the game of basketball, which means they're just going to get better and better through the years. And one thing I would add to that is with this class and the 5 freshmen that we currently have, Keyshawn obviously redshirted last year, and our 4 true freshmen, we have got 9 freshmen and sophomores starting next year that are going to be the cornerstone of Colorado basketball in the future, the next 3 to 4 years. So that's really exciting as well. When you add the freshmen we have this year to the freshmen we have coming in next year, it's going to be a special group.
Coach, next up we have Pat Rooney.
Yeah, Coach, I was pretty much going to ask what you just added on there at the end about the 4 guys you have now. They're still going to have their eligibility regardless of how this year plays out. You got these guys coming in. I mean, how enticing as a coach? I mean, it's kind of a unique situation being able to have all 8 of these guys potentially for 4 years. Just as a coach, what kind of possibilities does that give you? What kind of flexibility will this roster have down the road?
Major flexibility, Pat. I think depth will be great. Obviously, there'll be a learning curve for this freshman class that we just signed coming in next year. Just like there's a learning curve going on with the freshmen we have on campus right now. And but when you put them all together, I mean, we got all bases covered. And to me, that's exciting. You never know how things are going to play out. I mean, the one thing I've learned in this business is you try to forecast. It used to be that, you could try to build a program, which I'm still really, really committed to doing, is building a program that can sustain itself over the years. But next year, unlike last year, unlike this year, we're not going to be able to say, oh, we got a lot of experience coming back. Next year's team probably, most likely, will not have as much experience coming back. We'll be very, very young, but that's okay. We'll be young and talented, and we really, really need one of the reasons I'm so excited about the vaccine is I think it's going to hopefully allow us to go on a foreign trip this coming summer, which next year's team is really, really going to need. So I mean, we'll see how that plays out as well. You know, there's a lot of things that have to fall into place for that to happen, but I'm much more hopeful today than I was, a week ago before, we've had some of the good news come out.
All right, Coach, we're going to swing back to Justin again.
Coach, with Quincy in particular, if my memory serves me, you guys got him out to Boulder for a visit in late February for, I think it was the UCLA game. And of course, 3 or so weeks later, the world changes, recruiting dead period, COVID, so on and so forth. Is it a bit maybe more gratifying or relieving just to to get him on board, just with him being all the way on the Eastern Seaboard, going in there, being able to pluck him out of an ACC hotbed, given everything that happened?
Obviously, DC is not, our backyard for recruiting. And but the great thing about Colorado is we have appeal to kids from coast to coast. And, Quincy is a great example of the rule change, 3 years ago. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 years ago, where we could bring juniors on official visits to campus. And when that rule passed, we made a conscious decision as a staff to kind of take a reach, if you will, in recruiting on 3 or 4 kids in the junior class every year. Let's get them to campus. Let's get them to see Boulder. Let's get them to see a game in the arena and see if we can entice them. That, because again, Quincy was recruited by a lot of good schools and a lot of schools that were closer to home. But that UCLA game, and I say this to our fans all the time, like, we sell our fans, we sell the game day atmosphere, we sell our student section. And when he was here for the UCLA game, he saw it rocking and rolling. Now, we didn't win the game. We didn't play well down the stretch, against UCLA defensively. But he saw the atmosphere, he saw the arena, he saw what Boulder's all about, and he saw it in February. And the one thing you don't have to explain to DC kid is cold weather or snow. He gets that there and he gets that here. But it was very, we were very fortunate that he made the trip and he fell in love with the place and we ended up getting him. And that's, it's a testament to that new rule. And I think our staff kind of swinging for the fences a little bit because Quincy Allen's a really talented player.
When you look at these 2 classes, you kind of mentioned it. You're going to have a really young team the next few years, but one guy that's going to be a holdover most likely is going to be Evan Batty. And I know how much you respect his leadership and what he already does. And just having that presence in the next few years for these young guys, that's got to be such a huge asset, right?
It is. And Evan, anybody that knows Evan Batty obviously loves Evan Batty. I mean, that's he's probably the most popular guy on our campus. He's got great leadership skills. Obviously, this year is an important year for Evan. And, because he came in with Tyler, he came in with McKinley, he came in with Deshaun. Obviously, because of his redshirt situation his freshman year, he's not going to graduate with those guys, but he'll be back for that 5th year, which is going to be critical for this young group of guys because they're going to have somebody they can look to and emulate and listen to. Because Evan's a really vocal guy. He's a hardworking guy, and he'll be a big part of next year's, growth process. Not just coaching staff. Evan will be like an extra coach on the floor. He already is, really, quite frankly.
All right, and our final question's from Pat.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Lawson Lovering. I'm just kind of going on film and seeing some of the highlights. And I physically, I know freshmen are always going to have to get in the weight room a little bit, but is this guy a little bit ahead of obviously a Dallas Walton, maybe even a Lucas Seward, as far as kind of having a good base of strength on him with that size?
I think he is, Pat. And that's one of the things, Lawson committed to us, quite some time ago. And once he did, you can kind of, I don't want to say quit recruiting him, but you're not selling him on Colorado anymore. Now you're selling him on, okay, what's it going to take to be an impact freshman? And the one thing about Lawson, he wants to be an impact player. And I think he has the ability to do that because of his skill set. And we told him the one thing that is going to be difficult for you, for any player that goes from high school to college, is the physical nature of the game, and especially for a big guy. So we said, you're strength training, working in the weight room, your skill development is going to be critical for you to have the ability to come in and play, as a freshman, which I know he wants to do, and we think he can do. And he's really worked hard on that, over the last year. And the great thing about Lawson is, again, I always say this with 7-footers. The question I ask myself as a coach is, if Lawson Lovering was 6 foot tall instead of 7 foot tall, would he play basketball? And the answer is yes, because he loves the game and he wants to be great. And so that's why we recruited him. If the answer to that is no, then you got a 7-footer who doesn't love the game, is not going to get any better. And yeah, they're 7 feet, but that's not what we're interested in here. And that's not what we're getting. We're getting a guy who loves the game, works hard, and has gotten better from his freshman year in high school to his sophomore to junior, and now junior to senior.
Hey, if I can follow up real quick, going forward maybe on recruiting, obviously McKinley moving on. You mentioned Maddox and Deshaun moving on. Assuming you have a normal season or a semblance of thereof, are those guys, is that the plan to move forward, that those guys can be gone? And then with Dallas, I know he was going to apply. I assume he doesn't have to do that now, and planning on having him back?
Yeah, well, Pat, those are decisions that those young men will make for themselves. I'm getting ready to have individual meetings with every player on our team starting this weekend as we prepare for the opening of the season. Those are discussions I'll have with each senior and quite frankly, every walk-on, every freshman. Like, the freshman, obviously it's a free year, right? But I will have discussions with every one of our seniors in terms of what are they thinking now. And then also realizing that at the end of the season, that may change. And, we'll leave things open. And those final decisions will be made when the season's over with. And the decisions are going to be each individual young man's decision. And in conjunction with, the feedback that they get from me. And also, quite frankly, I have got to have conversations with our administration. Because if theoretically, if 5 seniors came back next year and we signed the 4 freshmen coming in, we got 18 guys on scholarship that are expecting to play. It's probably not the best thing for anybody. So those are things that'll work themselves out, and I'm not worried about it, but we certainly don't have any firm, hard decisions today, and I don't expect to have them until the season's over with.
All right, Coach, we're going to have one follow-up from Jake, and then we're done.
Okay.
Coach, when you look at where you guys are 2 weeks until you're supposed to start the season, just with the scheduling and where you guys are in practice, where would you evaluate yourself as of today?
I think we got that barbell team. We've got, I think, our veterans that have been around. I feel pretty good about where they're at and their ability to guard. And I don't think we're a great rebounding team right now. Offensively, we need to become a much better offensive rebounding team. Defensively, we're hit and miss. We're certainly capable. So we're still a work in progress, but I feel really good about the guys coming back. The freshmen are hit and miss right now. They're great one possession and they're bad the next, or they're great one day and then they're not so good the next day. So that consistency, and that's normal for freshmen. That's nothing new, but we're looking for who can we plug into a game. And because I do think this team can be a deep team, but early in the season, maybe we might not be as deep as I'd like us to be. And, we're going to need a little bit of game experience to find out really where we're at. And the bottom line is you don't know until we hook it up and tip it off. But I feel good about our seniors and our juniors. Our freshmen are still a work in progress.